when it comes to numbers, like you could buy followers, you could buy comments, you could buy likes. But a lot of people will tune in for the spectacle. It's a lot of followers who are just like there for the show. Like you're really good on the internet, so we just want to watch you on the internet. It never translates to anything real. It's like that's why looking at engagement is such a big thing. Like I'll look at a nigga followers, but then I'll look at how many comments. Like I'll be looking at that kind of shit. Like how many comments he got. Like how many people are really tapped in. What's the engagement like on all platforms? Because that's how you can really tell.
All right, today we got the one and only Bay Area native Rexx Life Raj here. How you doing, man?
Man, I can't complain. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited for this, and it's good to talk to the artists that are from here, and especially you because you have always had the Bay Area such a clear and prominent focus in your music, in your music videos, and I really feel like it's a character in your art in a lot of ways. Can you talk a little bit about the influence the area has and how it shapes what you put out?
Yeah, man, I think the Bay is just like such an influential place, and you see it in terms of just the way like our lingo spreads, the sound of the music spreads, the dancing that comes from here. Everything is so like cultural and impactful that I feel like if you're from here, it just comes out of you without even trying. Because people always tell me like they get that from me, and I don't even be trying. It's just like who I am. So I think the Bay Area is tight because it's like a blend of so many different people, but at the core of the culture, everybody hyphy for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it is. So yeah, I love the Bay, man.
Yeah, it's like not everyone needs to do hyphy straight up music, but I feel like you kind of found your own spin on that, right? Like you can see the origins, but you took it in your own direction.
Yeah, it's just like I think that's what's dope about art is that like to me art is just people living this life and taking these experiences in, and it goes through your filter and it comes out how it comes out. You know what I'm saying? So I took in all this life from around me and this is how it comes out, but I think you could still feel like the Bay Area in it just because, this is who I am and where I'm from.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, looking at your background, I know that your father was a big influence, not just in your music, but also how you approach your career as someone that owned businesses. And I feel like I see a similar thread with how you've went about the business side of music, especially as independent artist.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, my dad was an entrepreneur since I was born. I think he worked at Coca-Cola up until I think a couple years before I was born. And then after that it was pure like entrepreneurship. He got tired of working for people. He wanted to set his own schedule. And kind of just be in control of his own destiny. So that's all I really know. Like my mom worked at Cal up until I was like 3 or 4, but then she started fully working with my dad in the business. So it's kind of like what I come from. I don't even really know what it feels like to work a job. Like I worked some summer jobs while I was in college, but everything I know is kind of like building it from the ground up, building it from scratch, and nurturing it and watching it grow. And that's kind of what I do in every avenue, like in music, and the brands I have outside of music is just kind of all I know.
Right. And I know with that path, it takes a lot of patience and likely a lot more patience than you're seeing from some of your peers that may be doing other things, whether it's with major labels or others. And I can speak to that too from running a bootstrap business and just seeing how it is with others that are going a different path. But how's that been from your perspective, just balancing obviously the patience, but knowing the long-term outcome that's on the other side?
Yeah, man, I think it's just something that's kind of ingrained in me from, seeing my parents because they had that business for like 30 years and there was so many ebbs and flows in the business, but just knowing like it's something sustainable that's going to carry you for the rest of your life, it puts a different perspective on it. And also it's like I come from a football background and I was an O lineman, so I'm used to not getting like no shine and no glory and just putting in the work. You know what I'm saying? This is kind of what I come from. So I feel like it's like that with music. And for me, and you could probably relate, when you're doing something like this, it don't feel like work. You just having fun. So I'm not looking at it like, oh, this is hard, this is tedious. It's like, nah, you're building something. It's a blessing, bro. I get to build something from scratch that people resonate with. You know what I'm saying? And it's like people are finding value and meaning in it, so it becomes like even more purposeful for me. So it's just like, bro, I'm blessed, bro. I can't complain about too much.
Was there ever a point that you did consider doing a more traditional record label deal?
Not really. I mean, I want to say a few years ago, we took a few meetings with some bigger record labels, but I think my situation with Empire, for me personally, is just, it's ideal, because I can move how I want to move. I can kind of do what I want to do. There's no restrictions on me. And, you hear stories about the majors and you're on a schedule or you're shelved or you can't put out something. People have been waiting for like a year to put out music. And, it's such a big system that you can get lost in it. You know what I'm saying? You just banking on having somebody in the building that's rocking with you. And you hear stories about those people leaving and now you just kind of, up in the air. So it's like you hear a lot of weird stories, but for me, the situation I'm in is solid. I can't speak on what happens down the road or if it makes sense. Maybe it'll make sense then, but for right now, it's like what I have is pretty tight.
I hear you on the weird stories. The one I keep hearing right now is people talking about the labels trying to make them put out TikToks, right? Label wants them to
Right,
put out a TikTok before they release the track, before they release the
right.
album. What do you think about that?
It's interesting, bro. I think about that a lot. It really makes me sad. You know what I'm saying? Like when I really think about like what but it makes me sad because it's like if you're an artist and you want to do that, and that's kind of like because some people have that persona and personality where it plays into that. Like they're good at the internet. Some artists are really good at the internet, but I feel bad for the artists who just want to make music and now they feel like they have to TikTok and it's less organic and it don't feel right. Like to me, that's not tight. But at the same time, it's a platform that's enabling so many up and coming creators because the algorithm over there is crazy. Like I remember when I first got on TikTok, I had like 50, 70 followers who just followed me over to TikTok, but I would post things and they would go like fake viral, like 30,000 views, 40,000 when I only had 50 followers. So I'm like, it's a game that you have to play. Like you can go over there and bullshit and fake go viral on accident. You know what I'm saying? But it's kind of like, it's kind of contingent upon the artist, but I see, the gift and curse in both sides.
Yeah, and I think we're also still just so early that we're likely going to see more types of content that can be put out when someone puts out a TikTok, right?
Right,
Because I feel like when it started, it was people doing these dances that are just in this like vertical screen, but all right, they're
right,
expanding the time frame. Like it doesn't have to look like that. It reminds me of like when MTV first came out, you started to hear a little bit of that, right? Everyone thought it was just going to make people these like ponies that just did these like Milli Vanilli dances and stuff like that.
right,
But
right.
then it evolved. So I feel like that could still happen, right? Just because, like you said, the reach is so massive.
Yeah, no, and I think it's happening right now because I feel like with anything, what I've learned in my experience is that fans, like people who are fans of you or who are becoming fans of you, actually want to know you. And I feel like with TikTok, it's a place where you could be dancy and viral and all that, but you can really be personal and show people behind the scenes. Like I look at like a cat like La Russell out of Vallejo, and he's really good at the internet. Period. But like he's not really TikTok and like playing the game. He's just getting on there and rapping. You know what I'm saying? And people are receptive to that because there's a whole demographic who just want to hear people rap. So I think it's really about finding like your little niche, something that's comfortable for you, and understanding that like you're not making content for everybody in the world. You're making content for your people and finding your people and like I said, doing what's comfortable with you and you can win for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And that's a good example of that, right? Like I was just reading an article that was talking about, yeah, the platform's maturing and it's going to be more niches. And the more niches, yeah, the less people that are going to want to see these standard TikTok dances, more people are going to want to see bars, they're going to want to see people rap. So that's a good point there. Um,
Right, right.
Shifting gears, though, I want to talk a little bit more about your album, The Blue Hour, and what you have coming up. You have the trailer for it, you got the vlogs. I really like how you've built up and had the rollout for it. Can you talk to me about the strategy or the plan for how you wanted to execute that all?
Yeah, for me at this point, bro, because I just understand like everything is about content. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about with TikTok. content is king. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it's just I wanted to have as much content as possible. So I had the cameraman, my boy Sal was filming all the sessions, and then anytime I have a show, I have somebody film it, or anytime I have ideas, it's like let's try to do this idea. You know what I'm saying? Because the more content you have, the better. And so it's just literally when I went into it, it's just like, bro, follow me with the camera and just get everything. Then it'll be shit in there that we could just slowly roll out. It'll turn into a vlog. It'll turn into a documentary. Like I'm actually shooting a real documentary right now that we're starting to drop trailers for. But it's just like anytime there's a camera, turn it on, because you could choose whether to put it on or put it out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not like you have to put it out, but people want to see the process. Like they want to hear the music, of course, but people want to see the process. They want to see how you create. They want to see the thinking behind it. They want to see who you're collaborating with. It just makes that connection to your fans, I think, that much stronger. So it's like with me, I'm just trying to involve them in as much of the process of my thinking as possible to really, make them connect as much as possible.
That makes sense. Do you ever feel any tension with that approach? Because I know I've heard from other artists where they feel like when the cameras are on and they need to do this stuff, it makes them feel like they're more of a marketer than they are an artist. And obviously, it's a combination of both. But how was that for you, especially as, you want to be in album mode? You obviously have a concept that you want to be able to do purely from an artistic perspective.
Yeah, I don't really have that problem, bro. And it might be because I did have the camera on me at this point for a while. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always had people following me with cameras, but also it's like I think if you have a good videographer, they're not all in your face with the camera. Like they might ask you questions every now and then, but the people I work with, they're playing the cut. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're almost not even in the room. To me, that's the best kind of cameraman. It's just like he's behind the speaker, or you're not even paying attention to him, and he's kind of shooting you while you're in the booth because I'm with you. Like it could be a distraction. I think as soon as the camera comes on and you're very conscious of it, it changes everybody. Like this conversation with us would be different if we weren't on camera. It'd probably be more candid. But since we know people are watching, like you kind of change. So, like I think it's really just like having a good cameraman is just like they're not really in the room. And then maybe after, luckily I've had good camera videographers who are like afterwards, they'll contextualize it. Like they'll ask me a question or like, let's elaborate on this afterwards. But during the process, it's really kind of like playing the cut and just recording.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. And I think for you as well, thinking about this album specifically, a lot of the focus you're talking about grief and you want to be able to not just process your own, but helping other people with it. Why was that an important focus for you with this album?
Um, for me, because I think my music is very much grounded in reality in my real life. And I feel like for me, like this past year and a half was the most insane, impactful year I've personally ever had in my life. And I feel like there's no way that it wouldn't come out of me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just so much happened and there was so much emotion and everything built up in me and it came out in the music. And for me, it was almost like, you went through all this shit and you felt all these feelings. There has to be a way that you could like transmute this into something that could help people going through the same thing. And for me, music has always been that. Like my favorite songs aren't really the turn up songs. They're the songs I cut on when, I'm going through some shit or I need to cry or I'm in my feelings or something. And it's like knowing that music has that capacity and knowing that it could do that. Like music has healed me in times where I was going through whatever I was going through. And knowing that I have the potential to do that, to me, it feels only right to put that into my music because, like I said, I've done songs where like Moxie Java and Shit and Floss where people turn up and it's crazy when I perform it. But then I do songs like Time where it hits people on almost like a spiritual level. It's not even almost, it is a spiritual level. In that feeling, that's how I know that's my purpose because I'm so attached to that feeling that people get rather than just like turning up and having fun. So it's like I wanted to create a space for people to be able to talk about grief, to be able to talk about it, especially for Black men because we experience it so much, but how we talk about it, like with the homies, to me, it's kind of like crazy. Either we talk about it very surface level, or we don't talk about it and we hold these feelings in and we harbor it. And that's why, for me, like going back to everything outside of the music is one thing, but my rollout has been to be focused on like letting people know like, yo, it's okay to express these feelings. It's necessary to talk about these things. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of been my whole thing with this album.
Yeah, I feel like this has generally gotten better over time where we are seeing more artists like yourself and others sharing their thoughts and being vulnerable. And I think we've seen it just more broadly in culture where people are becoming much more comfortable and there is less of a stigma, especially with Black men, around checking out for your own mental health, being able to get awareness with things. But I still feel like there's plenty of room to grow with that. So you, of course, not just using yourself as an example, but being able to communicate that through music is going to help a lot of people. I know you mentioned that the past year and a half has been tough, and I'm sure that a lot of people could likely relate to that for their own respective reasons. So there's a timeliness here as well. And there's so many things happening that I feel like we've almost become immune to, whether it's things happening in our own life or things happen in society, where no, it's helpful to pause because that doesn't happen as often as it should. And things just keep going and going.
Literally, man. And then for me too, it's like for people who don't know, just to kind of like give you a synopsis of what's going on. I lost both my parents last year. I lost my mom in May, and then my dad in August. And the majority of the album was written right before my dad passed. So in those 2 or 3 months, right after my mom passed. And it's crazy because I remember something she said with me that stuck with me is like when she got diagnosed with cancer, we had a conversation, and one of the things she said was, "No matter what happens to me, I know you'll do something good with this. Like whether it be music or whether it be just you talking about it or whatever." She was like, "I know something good to come from this," and I feel like one of the biggest things for me when it comes to grief is finding ways to honor the people you lost. Right. So for me, it's like the the album honors her. Me talking about what I'm going through honors her. And that's one of the biggest things for me. That's why I'm so open about it. Cause it's like, yo, it's one thing to go to the cemetery or, wherever your place is where you honor the people you lose. But to me, like, I want to take action in some way to honor my mom. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what this rollout is for me.
I mean, I could only imagine how you felt. It's so sad just losing both of them in such a short amount of time. And obviously, this album has been a point of catharsis for you. I'm sure just the process, and like you mentioned, a few of the things you've done as well. But what are some of the other ways that you've been able to the best that you can, cope and manage your own stress and grief with the losses and everything else in your life?
Yeah, man, music has really been the main thing because it's really therapeutic for me. But I think being around friends and family for me and being able to talk about these things and cry when I need to in front of the homies and just get things out is important. I try to stay on top of like meditating. Like I try to meditate 2 or 3 times a week. I pray a lot. Anything that I could get these feelings out of me. One of the biggest things for me, it sounds funny, but it's the Peloton. You know what I'm saying? Because for me personally, when I'm going through anything, working out is such a stress reliever. You know what I'm saying? So I had got a Peloton right when my mom got sick, and it was something that like anytime I had built up extra energy or anxiety in my body, I just go hop on a Peloton. And outside of me losing a little bit of weight, it just helped me mentally. Just working out. So I'm really thankful for the Peloton. Shout out all the instructors and stuff on there. That's really tight. But yeah, just finding ways to get it out of me. Like I do all the little stuff. Like I journal a lot. You know what I'm saying? Anything that could get my thoughts out and just kind of figure out what's going on. Because I feel like people have these things in their head, but when you write it down and you can reread it and really see what's going on in your mind, you get a better understanding of what you're going through. So I did this thing called morning pages, which at one point I was waking up every morning. So what you do is you wake up every morning and you just journal for like 2 or 3 pages, whatever comes to your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter what it could be. Because when you first wake up, it would be shit like I'm tired. I really don't feel like writing this. I didn't get a good night's sleep. But the more you write, the more real feelings and thoughts come out. And what happens is if you do it for a long enough period of time, you start to see consistencies in your thinking and your feelings, right? So you might for somebody that might be, in their relationship, they keep having these problems in their relationship, and they notice that they write about it every day. Or you're having problems with your dad or your mom or something that keeps coming up. And what it allows you to do is see it like, yo, this thing keeps happening. And then you have the choice to take an action. Because if it keeps happening and you don't take action, nothing's going to change. But by you writing it every day, like you've seen it 7 days, the last 7 days, it forces you to take action and you can clearly see what's going on in your life. So I really believe in that. I read that in a book called The Artist's Way. I highly recommend like that for any artist or anybody just in the creative realm for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. And I've heard similar with people doing voice memos as well. Just being able to have that steady, consistent thing that you're putting out there. Because, yeah, over time, it is going to be a reflection of where things are and just the habit of it's one thing to journal, but it's actually having a common practice with it. I'm sure that's been huge. And I can imagine that even some of that has been helpful reflection for you as you were putting this album together as well.
For sure, yeah. It's crazy because when I was going through, you know, basically being a caregiver for my parents because I was taking care of both of them. I didn't really have time to do music because I was so, consumed and taking my mom to chemo or radiation. And then my dad, he was already sick. So I'll have to take him to dialysis and the Kaiser. And I was, you know, cooking the meals and staying at the house, make sure everything is right. So I really was so overwhelmed with life that I didn't even have the capacity to do music. But what I always did was I have in my notes tab, I have a note just called life notes. So anytime something would happen, like I would have feelings, a lot of different feelings and emotions, I would just jot it down in the notes. So in my phone, I literally had, bro, just so many life notes because there's music in everything. There's songs in the conversations you have with people or songs like these feelings that you feel, these experiences that you have can all be turned into music. So even though I couldn't necessarily make music, I was just taking notes. So when it became like after my mom passed and I started going back to the studio, like I had just so much to draw from. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I had to sit and even think about, oh, what am I going to write about? What am I going to do? It's all in the notes. So it's like the album was written before it was written. I just had to piece it together.
Right. That makes sense, right? It's like documenting the process like anything. And I do think that just being able to have that likely help the product of it too. So, and I know that the album's coming out soon. You're definitely excited about where things are heading. Do you have any particular milestones or goals that you have that you're trying to hit with this album? I know that you're not signed to a major record label, so some of those same types of things may not exist, but a lot of it may be a bit more on the personal side for what you have. Is there anything that you have that you're shooting for that you have as a particular milestone?
Not necessarily numbers wise, because I feel like as soon as I do that, I'm fucking, setting myself up to not be happy if I don't hit those things. So I don't really be tripping off numbers. Like my thing when it comes to numbers is as long as we're on the up and it's better than what we've been doing, then we're doing something right. But my whole goal and intention with this album was to help people who are going through what I was going through. Like that's all I was thinking about. And I see it, in the songs that I've released, where my DMs be crazy with people who are either, there's a lot of people in my DMs whose parents are ill right now, so they resonate with the music. It's even more people in my DMs who are going through grief, and the music is helping them process in any way. So to me, that's the win for me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the win is the music helping people navigate through life and shit. The numbers gonna number, and the numbers be fake a lot of the times, like So I don't really be concerned about the numbers. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's just being intentional in what I put into the music and just hoping that it resonates with people.
And it sounds like it already is. Like you said, if you're having the folks in the DMs hitting you up and responding to it, that's great. And I got to imagine that being able to potentially see that impact in person at some point would likely be an ideal thing that I'm sure people would connect with as well. Are there plans to tour or do live shows after the album's released?
Yeah, we already got the tour locked in for it's toward the end of the year. We got a few festivals. I actually have a festival on Sunday. I just did one in Sacramento, so we got a lot of little festivals and shows coming up, but the actual tour is set for the end of the year, so I'm super excited.
Nice. Do you prefer festival performances or do you prefer your own tour stops?
I prefer my own tour. You know what I'm saying? Because with a festival, especially for artists at my level, you never really know how many people are there for you, and it's tight because it's a bigger crowd, so you can win new fans. And festival experiences are always super fun. But like you alluded to earlier, just the connection that I've made with the people that I know I've made that connection with is different. You know what I'm saying? It's spiritual. That's the only word I could have for it, bro. Because I've had shows where I'll perform a song and people cry. You know what I'm saying? It's like they came for that song. You know what I'm saying? That came out of my brain, and for whatever reason, it resonated with them. To me, that's just and to have people sing songs in unison, and it's just like a different type of connection when it's your show. But festivals are tight too. Man, I love festivals.
Yeah. I feel like, especially for independent artists, a mix in general is what people do thrive in. And I feel like that generally makes sense. But especially for an independent artist, your career is already built on the long game. And touring is a much longer game than a lot of festivals, right? Festivals, the upfront cash could be great. It could be bigger than what you may get from an initial stop. But like you said, you don't know if they're necessarily there for you, but you could be reaching out to new fans versus at a tour, even if the total audience may not be what it may be in that festival crowd, all those people are there to see you. And you build on that, and you're going there with the next album and the one after that. Like, that's where that long game is, that lines up with that independent mentality.
Literally, Brent, and I'm happy you said that because I'll be trying to preach that to any up and coming artist that asks me for advice. It's like I don't. That's what I'm focused on. Is the touring. That's what I look at. Like even when everybody has a moment and niggas be lit on the internet and shit look cool. My first thought is like, bro, can they sell tickets? Are they selling merch? Because in real life, that's what's gonna sustain you. Like, have you built maybe another business or brand outside of yourself? Because the internet shit is cool, but real life is what gets you paid in the long term. So yeah, I'm happy you said that.
Oh yeah, like I had had this piece that had gotten some traction recently. That was a breakdown on why your followers are not your fans, and the followers
Literally,
exactly. It's the internet shit that you're talking about, right? It
right.
just doesn't always line up, and we both know people that have millions, tens of millions of followers, but they can't sell when they actually go to show things, and makes you question, okay, were all those stream numbers legit stream numbers and all those things? And you can't fake having actual bodies there, like
It's,
watching you
it's
perform
the
a
only thing
concert.
you can. It's the only thing you can't fake, man. That's what I'm saying. Like the internet is really, but at the same time, like if you play the internet correctly, you can make money off the internet as well. Like it don't get it twisted. Like there's money to be made on the internet, but as far as sustainability, like I've only seen it this way. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, everything could be manipulated, and even when it comes to numbers, like you could buy followers, you could buy comments, you could buy likes, but a lot of people will tune in for the spectacle. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of followers who are just like there for the show. Like you're really good on the internet, so we just want to watch you on the internet, but it never translates to anything real. It's like that's why looking at engagement is such a big thing. Like I'll look at a nigga followers, but then I'll look at how many comments. Like I'll be looking at that kind of shit. Like how many comments he got. Like how many people are really tapped in. What's the engagement like on all platforms? Because that's how you can really tell. Because there's been artists who like, for instance, on Instagram, I think I got like 80,000 followers, right? But it's been artists who I've seen that have like 20,000 followers, 30,000 followers, even less. Their engagement is way higher and they're selling way more tickets than me. And I'm like, damn, dude, like that's it. Cause you damn near made all of your followers believe to the point where we following you not only on here, but we following you in real life to the stage, and that's crazy to me. So yeah, it's an interesting game for sure.
Yeah, that's a good example. I mean, you're seeing it that way because you see it the other way too. People that, you got tens of millions of followers and then less than 1,000 people like the last photo. What? Like,
Yeah,
no, that don't
something's
make
not
sense.
clicking. Something ain't right, bro. Something ain't right.
That don't make sense.
But yeah, for sure.
So you're in the Bay Area, and of course, we know there's a lot of tech investments happening out here. And I know that you interested in things outside of directly making music as well. What does that side of things look like for you? Have you gotten involved in the investing side, looking at different startups and companies?
I'm kind of tapped in because I have friends who are really in that world. Like my girlfriend works for Facebook, so she's fully in it. One of my best friends, he works for Google, so he's fully in it. And then one of my good friends who I went to college with, Jason Robinson, he has it's a VR AR software. It's called Playbook Five, and so he actually just did a pitch. In Menlo Park damn near last weekend, just pitching his shit to investors. And so it's really tight. Like you put on the Oculus or whatever, and it's for kids to learn, like kids in high school and middle school who are trying to play any sport in college. It teaches you all these schemes and game plans and everything you learn through through his software, but what he's trying to do is make it accredited. So say like they're trying to go to Cal to play football, and Cal runs a 3-4 scheme on defense. For the players who aren't like 4 and 5 stars who are getting directly looked at by the school, they can look at Playbook Five and be like, "Oh, let's check this kid out. He's fully accredited in our scheme, so we can bring him in, and he fully knows what's going on." And so, like, just seeing the homies do stuff like that, you're automatically drawn into it because that shit is the future. You know what I'm saying? And he's telling me, like I said, how he's pitching, and he's looking for investors. He's down in Austin because it's booming down there now, and he's moving around. So I feel like just being out here, you get consumed in it, and you learn shit on accident. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't actually invested in any companies, but I'm for sure just like watching and learning the landscape as much as possible.
That makes sense. You get up with E40 at all?
I haven't linked up with 40 in a while, but anytime I hit 40, he pick up and he chop game with me. That's the OG, man. Like, real cool dude, man. Like, I love 40 because like I said, anytime I hit him and ask him for gems and wisdom, he always there for me. If I need him on a song, he always there. So shout out 40.
Yeah, because like thinking about the investor thing, I mean, obviously both
He's the man.
Vallejo and he is the man. Anytime I see it, I'm like, I see his name everywhere. I'm almost surprised when I don't see him in certain deals now.
E40 so raw, he gonna sell you anything. That he sells sausages, he sell lumpia, he got E40 tequila, he got burritos now. He got the hood burritos at the store. Like, bro, when you think about entrepreneurship and just real rap independence, like E40 is the pinnacle, bro. Like he's giving niggas the blueprint for so long. Like he's been doing it. That's what I'm saying. Like pure longevity. He's like, who's been doing this independent shit for as long as he has and been that great at it? It's not too many people, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, shout out to 40, man. He's been ahead of the game for a while.
And his product's good too. I mean, we know that there's a lot of artists out there that have stuff that doesn't always click, but his Earl Stevens wine is award winning. Like it has gotten
Fire.
shouted out by all those like Napa and Sonoma County, celebrations, whatever they call them. But
Yeah,
he's
dude.
gotten
And
his
it's,
props.
and it's going to get you faded. I didn't drink, boy, I didn't drink some of that in the woods. I'm like, oh, God, E40 is crazy. What is it called? That shit
I know
ain't
what you're
no,
talking about.
yeah, it ain't no joke, bro. If you trying to get drunk, drink some of that Earl Stevens Select, man. That's crazy.
Oh man, it's wild. It's wild. But Raj, man, I'm excited for you. You got a
Thank
lot to look forward to this year. Obviously, I know that a lot of it hasn't been the easiest, but when we looking at the rest of this year, then also into 2023, what are you most excited about? What's getting you excited, looking forward to where things are heading and where you wanna take things?
Yeah, man, I'm just excited to drop the album and just see where it takes me. Hit the road again, go to Europe. Do all the things that come with dropping an album because I feel like for the last year and a half, I've really missed that. So just like everything that comes with putting out music, like I think the next phase of my career is like really focusing on other artists from the Bay who I think have a lot of potential and kind of like giving them game and wisdom and putting them on. So I'm working with a bunch of different artists in the Bay, and just kind of focusing on them and giving them shine because I think it's a renaissance happening in the Bay, in the underground music scene that not too many people know about, and I feel like it's really coming to light, and you get to see how diverse the music scene in the Bay is because I feel like for a while we were just known really for one thing, one sound. But it's so much dope shit happening in the Bay. You know what I'm saying? Like from dudes like Elu J, to it's a singer in Vallejo. She's really tight named Tyler Lauren. She's really cool. My brother Dakota White Fox. You got Michael Sneed who's doing raw shit. My boy Jamie. You got, I think how you say her name is Twee Music. She's doing a lot of shit. It's just like it's so much going on in the Bay, and I'm happy that it's actually getting the light that it deserves at this point.
I know that's legit. And thinking about all the activity too, I'm sure you saw it as well. The Golden State Warriors started their own record label, and I'm like, if there's any
No, I
sign that
did
there's
not
something, it's one
know
of the
that.
best. Oh, you didn't hear this?
No, tell me about it. I did not know they started a record label.
Okay, I'll send you the link to it after we're done. But
That's
yeah, so
crazy.
Golden State Warriors started a record label, and they are planning to sign and support the artists that are local in the area, right? Like they want to invest in the talent here and using their arena and using the concerts that come through as a platform, maybe some of their own documentaries they're trying to use that and use that as a platform to push these artists.
That's crazy. No, I did not know that. That's actually insane. That's tight, though. That's interesting. I need to read the article because that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
I'll send
crazy.
it to you. Yeah, because I actually just interviewed the guy that's running it, David Kelly. He's their chief business officer over there. So yeah, I'll send you the link to that too.
Dope, man. No, I appreciate that. That's clean, though. That's tight.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But Rajan, before we let you go, is there anything else that you want to plug or let the Trapital audience know about?
Man, just I'm dropping a Blue Hour soon. Appreciate you having me, man. I appreciate anybody who's watching this has been a fan of me for however long, and just stay tapped in. I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. And where can people find you?
Anywhere, man. Google on any platform. I'm on every platform. Rexx Life Raj, REXXLIFERAJ. If you know how to use the internet on your phone, you can find me. I'm everywhere, man. Everywhere like air.
Bet. Sounds good,
Yeah.
man.